Are you ready?
Hey.
Hey, how you doing?
And the producer. Welcome to Chase Affairs. We got a really special guest with us tonight.
Absolutely.
And he really needs no introduction, but I'll let him come in here and explain what he does.
All right, well, we're going to bring him on then. Here you go.
There he is, Mr. Austin Maynard. Caught him right in the middle of eating dinner now.
Hi guys, thanks for having me on. Although I feel like I may need a little bit more of an introduction than that.
Okay.
Then we'll do it.
I'm just kidding.
Well, you work on the TV show. What is it called?
Deathwalker.
Deathwalkers. That's right. That's right. And with Mr. Nick Groff, who's another researcher that most people are familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And so would you like to talk a little bit about what you do and what got you into this the field of research or anything like that?
I mean, yeah. So like, well, what I do at least for the show is I'm the equipment tech manager, or the paranormal tech manager, I guess is the best way to say, because they got another like camera tech guy and everything. But I basically just try to scout for new equipment. I build new equipment, just trying to look for different ideas that Nick and Tessa can use on the show. They're trying to look for just different pathways, just different experimental stuff. But and we don't want to continue to repeat the same old formula. So I think that really it's more or less I'm just trying to provide them with different stuff. I keep my eye out as well as build various devices and yeah.
Well, so what you do is you're actually one of the groundbreaking people in this field, that because the technology it has gone kind of stagnant. It does from time to time, and
yeah,
people like you guys to come up with new tools and new technologies. It's kind of an interesting time that we're living in now. Where we're technologically advanced to do some of this, come up with some of this technology.
Well, his tech is great. It is, Austin. Your tech is great. What little bit I've used of it, it's I hadn't had the privilege of using more than a couple things, and it's been awesome.
Awesome.
It really has.
I appreciate that. I don't feel that way necessarily. I feel like there's a lot like I'm not as good as I feel like, you know what I mean? Like I don't feel like I'm as good as others in this field. Like there's so much I can learn, so much that I can do better, and honestly like so much that can be contributed to everything, and that's why like I don't strictly like when it comes to like the show, like I don't police it in the sense of like because other people have great ideas and great devices that I feel need to be given the spotlight. I don't gatekeep or anything like that.
Isn't that awesome to hear somebody say that?
It is. That's what makes you even better. That's the thing, because there's some people out there.
That's an amazing attitude to have, and that's the attitude that more people need to have, because we're all on the same team here, and
exactly.
And awesome, man.
It's just reality, I'm just looking at it from like a realistic perspective. Like, let's be, it's like,
right.
I'm not freaking Tom Brady. I'm not, you know what I mean? So like, I'm not on that level. I'm not even on Nick's level. Like I'm like way, way, way down the list here. So like,
no.
There's so many more accredited people. Like I could do, like, I don't even feel like my devices are all that. A lot of the stuff I'm doing is really not even anything that has not been done before.
Well, the way you do it is just a little different.
I was watching.
It's just great.
The Sean show right? He was on Sean's show, and you're talking about some of the experiments that you guys were doing on the show with almost like a out of body type experience.
Oh yeah, with JW and I, the travelers experiments. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty groundbreaking, man. I don't think anybody's quite done that yet, or even experimented with it. It's the first I've heard of it.
Yeah, that's more JW. That's JW's brainchild. I've been behind JW for the last 5 years or so, 5 or 6 years. I believed in all of this stuff, and I've kind of seen it progress over the years, and I know the ins and outs of it, and so now I've become a partner in it. And same thing with the IDC devices. I'm a partner with him in that. But it is very intricate. It is very. I don't know if I would necessarily call it groundbreaking, because the Monroe Institute out in, I believe it's Sweden, they actually do a lot with the hemisync and they got the gateway process that's kind of making the rounds, because it was a CIA declassified document and all that, blah, blah, blah. The only thing that we actually use out of that document is the hemisync aspect of it. Which is just syncing the left and the right sides of your brain.
Right. And that's like a different frequency in each ear, isn't it, or something like that, or different?
Yeah, in a way, it's more oscillating frequencies.
Yeah.
You're getting it's basically 4 to 7 hertz. So, but you're not going to be able to hear 4 hertz to 7 hertz. So it's more like you would do 104 to 107 and just oscillate between those two. And the human ear will really only perceive that difference.
Right.
So,
and that's the CIA was experimenting with that, right? Or
they've been doing stuff like that
a long time ago when they were talking about some of the experiments that the CIA has done, or
STAR project, the Stargate project, and there were a number of them that they were doing, and they're still doing, in fact. But the things that the Traveler, that the WorldGate and the Hyperrealm project is really taking into account. There's so much that goes into it: numerology, universal math. We're using sacred geometry. We're using so back in ancient times, and ancient people, ancient civilizations, they would either build or reside in structures that would resonate at different frequencies.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of caves will resonate at 432 hertz, which is supposed to be a healing frequency.
Right.
Now, even the Knights Templar built a castle out in England that has a tower that resonates at a different frequency, but it's they're resonating specifically at those frequencies. And so what JW has done is basically take a lot of these different resonant frequencies that are being used, as well as combining other frequencies based on some of the math that and when I say math, I just mean numbers that are given to it with from there's a whole bunch that goes into it. But basically,
I've studied a little bit too. It's like all these ancient structures, not too far from where I live, there's a exact replica of Stonehenge, and it's a functioning model. It keeps track of the solstices and all that.
Oh yeah,
it's in Maryhill, Washington is where it's at.
Huh.
And
That's cool.
People come from all over the world or all over the U.S. anyway to do certain rituals there and that they
right.
Wiccan people and stuff. Well, the inner columns were they had a strange abnormal level of EMF that the college was studying, radiating from them, and it's kind of a mystery. They were trying to figure out why. But these ancient people, they understood things that we don't understand. We might have the computer and the silicon chip. They had their own version of technology that was much more, I think, sophisticated than what we have now.
Depending on how far back you go, I feel like.
Right. So what do you think of this UFO phenomenon or UAP phenomenon? Do you think it's linked to a lot of other aspects of the paranormal?
I think it relates more to how I don't believe that it's necessarily related to how we view the paranormal, or not we, but the mass.
Right. No, I agree. Yeah, exactly.
I believe it's more I hate to use this term because I hate the term multiverse.
Right.
Like, that's the only thing that I can think of to describe.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Where my kind of viewpoints are.
Well, you heard about Google and that Willow chip, right? That they recently, and how it cracked that encoded number that it would take like 10 quadrillion years for a conventional computer to crack it within 15 minutes.
Yeah,
it was utilizing multiple dimensions, the information from multiple dimensions.
But yeah, it's a quantum computer. It's not necessarily doing.
Well, by theory, it's a theory. Yeah.
I don't know if I would describe it as using information from multiple dimensions. That seems like
they're spinning it like that. They're saying that it proves the multiverse and all this, but
I mean,
I'm not a quantum physicist, so I don't know, but
I mean, it is because well, like the thing with quantum computing is that, so the simple way to do it is that particles, before they are observed, are in a state of superposition.
Superimposure, yeah.
So superposition is basically meaning that it's in two different states at the same time, simultaneously.
Right. And all that.
And this, and so the idea is that it's basically taking possibilities from every direction, and so basically, instead of it having one directional kind of search, it's using like 8 different directions searching at the same time to solve the problems. And so
at the same time, kind of theory. Yeah, that quantum mechanics stuff's pretty interesting, complicated stuff, but it's interesting. Well, the whole
my favorite.
You like it?
Oh, that's my favorite.
I'm not smart enough to understand that stuff. I just work here, so yeah. But the really interesting aspect is it shows our consciousness, how it affects the material world.
Right.
And they always knew that. Like you're talking about how the ancient people understood that there was this element with consciousness and reality manifesting things, or that reality isn't what we think it is, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, like what philosopher had that thing about the people living in the caves? I'm bad for recalling, names and stuff, but their world was inside the cave, but it's an early interpretation of what it depicts quantum mechanics, right? Like where our reality is like what we're perceiving.
Like the past, present, and future happening simultaneously.
Right, and just like everything collapses unless we're viewing it, so to speak, like what you're talking about.
So yeah, now that gets into like the simulation theory and
very interesting stuff.
Honestly, I definitely.
You think that's?
I'm believing more and more in the simulation. Well, there's a lot of reason for us to believe that we are, and a lot less reason for us to believe that we're not.
Right, and there are some things that are just like there's that new video that came out. You seen that yet? Where the guys have the lasers on the wall and they think they see code when they take DMT. Yeah, which I don't know if there's any credibility to any of that, but a lot of the universe itself acts like a computer that's trying to save resources, correct? Like RAM and stuff like that. Like the distant galaxies and stars, they're like almost like pixelated to save like resources on the computers running the simulation. You ever heard of that theory?
Yes, but I haven't heard that particular one about like distant stars being pixelated because of the computer simulation.
We're trying to look at these far off anomalies, with some kind of telescope, and they're saying that like it's behaving like a computer that's generating a synthetic world, like as if you were playing a video game, like it'll render what you're looking at, at the time.
Yeah, I could see that with like the James Webb Telescope photos because of the fact that the zoomability on them is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like it really is. Like they have this picture online, like, and they actually have the like a program that you can view it in where you can just like literally just keep zooming and zooming and zooming, and like you just keep passing more and more
it's
galaxies. It's insane. But that's just more or less a level of like, I think that that's just an improvement in technology.
Right. Things are so far away, right? That
yeah, and they're continuously expanding, and the crazy thing is that like there is going to be a time in human existence where there are galaxies that are disappearing because the universe is expanding faster than the speed of light.
Sure. Well, we just had one of those some star go into a supernova, or it was like a white dwarf, and then you hear did you ever hear about that? I think it was over the summer, and I don't know. They were saying that it would happen, we'd all see it, but it's part of like the constellation Orion or something like that. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I heard about a nova happening.
Mm-hmm. Like that we could see it or something.
I mean, I'm assuming that. Well, the thing is with like a supernova, like what we perceive, like a supernova, I don't know how fast it happens exactly. What we, is it an instantaneous thing? Does it happen? Because like cosmological time compared to our time, like it's way different. Like 100 million years in cosmological time is like a second.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the complexity to the universe.
So it makes me wonder, like when they said that, like how quickly are we going to see it? Especially because
is it in real? It's not wouldn't be in real time, right? Because we're seeing events that billions of years in the past, right?
Well, it just depends. Yeah, I mean, it's how many light years away it is how many years it will take light to travel to our Earth. So, like for the sun, it's 8.5 minutes.
Right.
So like if the sun were to just completely go out, we would still be in sunlight for 8.5 minutes.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So I got another question for you. What do you think of the Mandela effect?
I think CERN caused it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I agree.
Part of me wants. I want to believe that. Part of me like secretly does. Like I want to believe that that's what happened.
Well, this is kind of a newer phenomenon, though, right? I mean,
it happened when everybody thought Nelson Mandela died, but he didn't die in 2008 or something.
I don't know how old you are, but like when I was a kid, I don't remember. None of this was going on that people could recognize. I mean,
I'm only 33, so like I'm really.
Well, CERN has been around. I don't know how long, but it's after that is when a lot of this stuff is showing up, or maybe people are noticing it. Like some of these things, these changes, I absolutely know. However, the reality that I was in, there are definite changes.
Yes.
Well, for instance, like the I mean, I can point to a number of them that I know of, like the Berenstain Bears, the Berenstain Bears, the cornucopia in the balloon.
Anyway,
like some of that stuff, like I know I experienced as a kid.
Memories of that. And like the cornucopia, my dad he worked in the timber industry, and there was a saw shop in our town, and they had a big wall-sized mural of the Fruit of the Loom cornucopia and the fruit in it. So I remember as a kid, looking at this thing, and without a doubt, there was a cornucopia there because it's one of my childhood memories. And it's they're blaming it on false memory, but it's like so you agree something is definitely going on there. Like But
I think I almost believe though that the Mandela effect. I honestly, part of me also believes that the Mandela effect is a result of a computer simulation affecting, like it's correcting something.
Well, that would explain that could be one explanation.
Like also, there's a correction. There was something that went wrong, and the computer auto-corrected itself, and basically left people with this memory. But
well, one of the fears when they set up CERN is that they would cause some. They would. There was like a 1 in 12 chance that they would cause some kind of an unstabilization of the fabric of the universe or whatever, that it would begin to create black holes that would cause a chain event and implode the universe. Well, what if they did something that destroyed the reality that we were in? And this is a theory of mine. I mean, I don't even know if it's possible or not, but like they're trying to figure out what happens, because you just can't jump realities, right? Like there's a quantum immortality theory that maybe we're all dying and we're going into the neighboring reality, and we're not supposed to remember Like if we were, the light.
I mean, that is one of the fears of a lot of people, and even some physicists like really do genuinely fear that, the CERN opening up these black holes, like like they do actually, they are creating microscopic black holes,
right.
But they're like dissipating within a fraction of a second.
That's just one theory, but let's say that we were all synthetically. Our reality was destroyed. We were pushed over into a neighboring reality.
I think it might have been like a neighboring timeline, or like
so
this is where like the multiverse idea would come in. Yeah.
I mean, that would do the multiverse thing. Mm-hmm. But our consciousness, what if our consciousness is probably part of our reality, like our memories and what we've observed. So like the people that are taken into this reality, would they bring some of these changes with them that were foreign to that reality, do you think?
I think so.
That's why some people don't remember Publishers Clearinghouse with Ed McMahon, and some people do,
It was there. It was real.
Oh, yeah. Ed McMahon definitely was a spokesperson at some point.
And another one of mine, and they interviewed him, and he doesn't know what they're talking about. It's like, I remember getting the envelopes, with his face on them. And
I think what happens is that, if anything, if that is true, if that is really what's going on, I believe it's that we as a mass are just being like basically teleported collectively into another timeline. It's almost like the world around us changes to this other timeline where this never existed.
Builds it real quick or whatever.
And we don't even realize it happens. Like it just happens.
Exactly. So is that what death is like? I mean, is that?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Yeah, because there are those that like you said, the quantum immortality theory is that we continue, that we never experience death because our consciousness will skip to the next reality before death, and we don't remember anything about it. But it'll take off in like a part of our life, like randomly, and we don't even know what's going on. It's pretty complex stuff. I mean,
that's one of them for sure.
Hard question to answer what's going on, but there's things for sure. There are other conscious energies out there, right?
Yeah.
That are communicating with us.
We would think, yeah. I mean, that's what we're looking for, at least.
Seems that way.
What we're looking for.
Yeah. So, do you have any theories on what's out there? What these things are? These beings?
Yeah, I believe it's and I really don't like the word multiverse, and I don't like the word interdimensional.
It's pretty hard. I mean, it's a pretty hard concept.
But I really don't like multiverse just because it like people associate it with like the Marvel movies and all that. Yeah.
That's true.
So, but like the interdimensional, I feel like is misleading because it's not really dimensions, like not physical dimensions, like we would think of, like with like spatial dimensions, like when you follow string theory, like after the fourth dimension, it really gets incomprehensible. I think that it is an intelligence that is on a different plane of existence. Part of me wants to, like, part of me seems, so I want to think that part of it is into the dark matter side of inside of reality, and we just use the term dark matter, and I shouldn't use we. Physicists use the term. Yeah, it's just a generic term that we can't explain for matter that doesn't interact with photons and does not react with the electromagnetic spectrum.
Which most of our is made out of this matter, right?
Yeah, it's theorized that like 80 there's different numbers out there, like NASA will tell you like it's 26% or something of the universe.
But I've heard like 80%, like what you just mentioned.
That's another number that we hear, is 80 something percent, but it's a large portion of the universe that we cannot see. The only way that we detect is through gravitational lensing, based on that's how we know that it's there.
That is, are you talking about, Tim, are you talking about the opening ceremony to when they open up CERN? Is that what he's talking about there? That's
Goddard Tunnel. Yeah, I was looking it up.
Yeah, they did that. It's kind of weird. The little charade they put on that. weird. But anyway, so these consciousness. I mean, do you think they're passed away loved ones? Do you think that we're all connected to some kind of a larger consciousness? I mean, I'd like to hear your theories on all this stuff. What you think is going on?
It's funny that you mention all that, because I was just on the phone with my friend Ron Iacovetti like all day today, honestly, because he's kind of sitting at home. Is like Lourdes is down in Florida, so he's like, we just got to do a deep conversation about stuff. But one of the things that I believe is that we are actually part of one like actually we are one, as not only just people but like the universe. Like I feel like it's all one collective giant consciousness. I think information is transmitted faster than light through theoretical particles called tachyon.
Well, the quantum entanglement theory proves that information can be transferred.
Well, yeah, and that's actually the reason they believe that information is transported via tachyons, which are the theoretical particle that I personally believe.
Instantaneous,
yeah, it's instantaneous information. Yeah, and so, and one of the things that I know, so I've heard this from neuroscientists that so before we are even given the inclination of a choice, or the inclination of a decision, our neurons are firing up beforehand. So like, let's put it this way, like if you're going into an intersection that just like you're still 100 feet out, 100 yards out or whatever, the light turns green, and so you speed up, you're going through it, right? And little do you know, there's a car zooming at 100 miles an hour way down the road that's coming, and it's going to meet you right here. You don't even know that car is there. You don't even know it's coming. But your brain, your neurons are already firing up before you even see the car.
So, yeah, I mean, all that is completely.
And so, in my mind, it just tells me that like everything, it's all aware. Like the universe knows what's going on.
Another entity was aware of that you're connected to, so it was trying to kind of like you're getting the like somebody else saw it. You mean? And then it transferred. Then you're also getting like your brain's reacting to another observer, or no?
No, I actually think that like the universe and our brains, like and everything, like it's all one consciousness. And this is why I tend to believe in the simulation theory. Like it's actually, where it like the universe and our brains are and our consciousness, they're synced. So like it's gonna tell our consciousness, hey, this event is about to happen, and so our brain starts firing up even before we know that we see that car coming.
What's going on? Yeah.
And so does that eliminate the idea of free will?
That's another one there. That's another good question. Very good question. Is everything predetermined? Well, or I mean, is the ultimate observer the universe?
Because some physicists would argue that free will is not doesn't exist, because as biological beings, everything that we do, all of the nature of us follows the laws of physics. So no matter what we do, it's an illusion of free will.
Right. So then it gets into another aspect of it, which this is controversial, of course. So what do you think of the whole demonic phenomenon? Like there's these higher beings, that angels and demons, and the architect, the creator, and all that. What do you think of that?
Honestly, I don't know if what we perceive to be demons is necessarily like. I think that people want to believe that demons are what they are because of the Bible or religious texts or whatever. But I don't necessarily believe. Like again, I still believe that these are multi-dimensional, multi-universal. They
would also be, even if these things were what the Bible describes them as, they would be beings from another plane of existence.
No sense, yeah.
Yeah, and but it's very at the time of decision would. Well, and yeah, but the whole thing about free will, there was an experiment where they, and I can't remember the details of it, so I won't even try to bring it up. But they took these particles, and they did something with them. But anyway, yeah, I can't remember what they did. But they I think what they were saying is that they proved that free will was not an aspect of reality somehow through this experiment. I didn't know we would be talking about this, or else I would have looked it up. But
yeah. No, there's, I mean, obviously, like,
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, obviously, like, yeah, I mean, you could look at the double slit experiment and even say, or Schrodinger's cat, like Tim said earlier, and say that, like, until it's observed,
right?
It's, whatever.
Right.
And
so each person constructs their own reality, so nothing's predetermined from that. I mean, you can look at it like that.
In that sense, but at the same time, there's also the like the one electron theory, for instance, right? Where it just basically says that every time we observe an electron, it's the same electron that we've ever observed. Like, it's the same exact one at a different time and place and space.
Yeah, I don't get that one. That's like,
that basically just is, because basically what it means is that, like, this one electron is in a state of superposition at all times, and it's the only electron that is in existence. And every time we observe something, that same electron is just popping up in that from the state of superposition. It's manifesting in there. So what that also tells you is that it's able to be in the past, present, and future at the same time.
Right.
So that right there, in a sense, proves time travel.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's possible. The whole thing about the with quantum physics isn't that everything, all possibilities exist at once? Isn't that part of the theory?
That's I would say that's more string theory than quantum mechanics, but yeah. I mean, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Einstein was so freaked out by the spooky from afar, which was the concept of
that's quantum entanglement. Yeah.
Yeah. Part of quantum mechanics that he spent like his life the last part of his life trying to disprove it, didn't he? But
no, honestly, the last part of his life he spent trying to come up with a theory of everything, which is kind of what led to string theory later on. But Einstein hated the idea of quantum entanglement because it kind of went against his religious beliefs.
Right.
Like, he said, he called it dirty science, and he really didn't like it.
I remember hearing that. Yeah, or reading that.
Did he believe in God, or did he?
No, he was a very devout Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a Christian. So, like, he believed that, like, quantum physics went against the nature of the universe, which would be against the nature of God or whatever. So
how long have you been interested in this field of research, like just the paranormal in general?
Oh, I've been interested in the paranormal my whole life, but I didn't really start getting into like ghost hunting until like 2015 or so. When I moved to down near Cincinnati with my wife.
Did you have an experience or something, or did you have a personal experience with paranormal, or?
No, I think no, I've always been fascinated with it, but I think what drew me to ghost hunting specifically was that in 2009, when I was 18 years old, I suffered a sudden cardiac arrest, lethal arrhythmia, and so I was basically dead for 11 minutes and was resuscitated, brought back to the hospital. And so I was in a coma for 3 days. And they all thought I was going to be in a vegetative state, but I come back to, here I am, right?
I have to ask, do you remember?
No.
You don't? Well, now, I used to be a paramedic, so I'm going on.
Everybody asks. But part of the problem is that, like, when I collapsed, I hit the back of my head. And so my brain moved around in my head. And so I suffered from short-term memory loss, frontal lobe inhibition, and severe concussion.
Yeah.
And so now I do have a, TBI, and I have like some of those effects. Sometimes it's hard to notice, but like I notice them because like I know the difference before and after, right? But but I mean, I don't remember anything that happened. But it does tell me that, like, I mean, clearly I was not in my body, but I was I was able to just basically like restart like my body. That was just a vessel.
Right.
So
That's awesome.
So another question is, do you believe that that there is something after death, after this physical death? It's probably get controversial, which I've never explained, Gwen, what my theories are on that, by the way.
I don't like the idea of something after death because I think that it's existing currently while we live too, you know, like I think it's a simultaneous thing. So I mean, like as far as like our continuation of consciousness after death, I think that it's more like there's a mass cloud.
Right.
I like to think of it as like a mass cloud of tachyons that like when we have this kind of plays into reincarnation too, because when
I was gonna ask that.
Yeah, so when a person dies, I believe like these particles, I believe that they're some form of tachyons or something. Not necessarily tachyons, but some form of theoretical particle that make us all up. But when we die, that goes back up into this cloud, so to speak, and I'm just using that for lack of a better term. But then, you know, sometimes on the way up, you know, as we're going down, you know, I think sometimes there may be moments where we collide with somebody else's things, and so that's when you have a little bit of the reincarnation aspect, where somebody will come back and have these memories of something that.
Right. I hear you.
But I do believe that that's where it goes back into the global, like not a global consciousness, but like a universal consciousness.
Right. Now, I know your wife's, and I may say it wrong, so forgive me. I can't remember her name either, but is she psychic or?
Yeah, Colleen is her name. Yeah.
Colleen. Okay. Colleen, forgive me. I'm sorry, honey. But so does she, some people who are psychic remember bits and pieces, or even some remember their whole past life. Has she ever talked to you about, I mean, have you guys ever known that maybe you were together in a past life kind of thing?
Bev, did you hear that? She didn't hear it. Do you remember a past life at all? Like she said that a lot of psychics report being able to remember past lives, like almost like a reincarnation type deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird, but she saw herself being a fetus.
Awesome.
Interesting.
Oh, so you like kind of saw yourself at the moment of conception.
That's awesome, actually.
That's interesting.
Well, see, me now, just me. This is not anybody. I know a couple of bits and pieces of what I believe were past lives for me. And I was just curious because I knew what you had said about her. Yeah. Matter of fact, Colleen, we would love to have you on any of the shows to talk to you also. Yeah.
I gotta say something, man.
Yeah.
What is that like living with a woman that's psychic?
That tells it all right there.
She used to not have as much control over it as she does now. But when we first like got together and like before we even like really started looking into all of that, it was hard for her to control the level of emotions that she would feel, especially in public places.
Well,
you know,
I was mainly just joking because doesn't she know everything that you're doing all the time? And
it's definitely not like that, man. You got to be careful, man. Some of these psychics will get offended by that.
Eating around, but I mean, that thought popped in my head. I'm like, man, Jennifer,
I know.
I'd be deep shit,
It is, yeah.
But yeah, I was kidding. But no, but yeah, so. Yeah, the actual science, provable science of what we're doing, and the breakthroughs that we've achieved lately of mankind, pretty interesting because it does prove some of what we're doing, scientifically, and that's a big that's a big win for us, I think, what we do. But
I don't know if that's necessarily true, though.
But I also say the way that people perceive the paranormal, like what you said, the masses isn't accurate. I agree with that. I think there's a lot of this phenomenon that is nothing like we thought it was, like the reality of it. I mean,
yeah.
So that was interesting to hear you say that, because that's a big belief of mine, and it's there's really compelling evidence that proves and disproves all of this at the same time. Like I study demonic cases and demonic phenomenon, and I've witnessed a few things that have been very interesting, to say the least. Like one thing is demonic possession. You ever witnessed anything like that, or?
I have witnessed people claiming demonic possession.
Oh yeah.
I don't believe that I've actually witnessed it through possession. No,
not yourself. Like, I mean.
Well, I don't believe I've witnessed, or I believe that there may have been cases in the past, but I believe that they are very, very few and far between.
No, I agree. I agree with that.
And I don't believe that I don't believe that everybody can be exorcists, like the way that
I don't believe that either. Mm-mm.
I have my own beliefs on that. With that.
No. Actually, you're like you're, like you said, you're a realist in this, and that's really good. It's really refreshing, because I don't think that that the phenomenon is that not everybody can perform an exorcism. But there's one, because I've been doing this for almost 25 years. There's one incident where this person was possessed, and they were doing impossible things. First of all, like, it wasn't mental illness. It wasn't anything explained, because the person was physically changing. There was 7 different entities inside this person, and whenever one would manifest, their eye color would change, their physical appearance would change, and what this entity was saying, some of the stuff that it was talking shit about God, but it was talking about God. It's just something that stuck kind of with me over the years. These made statements like it was around to see mankind created, us take our first breath, and couldn't say the name of God because they're not allowed to, but talked. He called it the Son of Man, is what he called this entity, and it just then there's that aspect that. So what is your opinion on the Christian belief, and like, does it hold water at all, or are there aspects of it that are accurate? Most of it's inaccurate. I mean, what do you think about that whole aspect, or do you try to leave that out of what you do?
Well, I mean, I believe that there's connections between it all. Like, I believe that the metaphysical and the physical are all one, and they simultaneously exist. So, but I personally believe like that all religions kind of stem from one,
right? Because belief. Yeah.
Obviously, everybody, paganism is the oldest and supposedly the first, right? But I do. I mean,
I asked wrong. Do you believe in God? Do you believe somebody created all this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't live religiously, and I don't.
Oh, I don't go to church either. So
I guess my thing that I believe in God only because I believe in some form of a greater consciousness. But I don't believe in God the way that Christianity believes in it.
So do you think that this whole, well, you believe it's a simulation, so it would have had to been created?
Yeah, I believe that there's a creator, a grand creator, but I don't, and I believe in, that God is that creator. And I always look at more of like God being the reason for why and not the reason for how.
Right.
And so that I kind of approach it from that aspect. But I also am trying to look at things from an objective perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I base more of my beliefs on objective like logic in a sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, and you can get more answers like that too. It seems like.
Yeah, but I'm continuously searching, and I mean, if I find information that leads me away from one theory and into another, but like at this point, as much as I've done, as much research and experimenting and everything that I've done, like I have come to my beliefs. I mean, there's a lot of reason for that.
Right.
And especially because of where I started too, because like when I first got into this, I was, it was when portals were just coming big, like Huff was out, right? Huff was real big in the field.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Paranormal Lockdown just came out. Like that's where I was at.
Right.
And so like I believed in everything, right? Like what any person coming in believes for the first time. And so like just like thinking about where I was then and how I am now, it's like because people, even my mom asked me sometimes, like, you still believe in ghosts?
Right.
And I tell her like, no, I don't. Not in the way that not in the way that you think.
I don't believe in ghosts, which I've never talked about it with these guys before. But no, I don't believe in the detachment in that sense of the human soul, the spirit. It's I've never seen any evidence of it, really, like physical evidence, like in a lot of cases where there's something that pretended to be human, or there was something behind the scenes that was mimicking the behavior, because when it got agitated, it completely changed. So it's like it's something, but I've never seen something that like was Aunt Susie all the way through the investigation.
Right.
So and then there's things that do match up with the biblical scripture, like according to the scripture, and a lot of people don't really understand. And like I said, I'm not religious. I don't go to church. Everything I like to do is moral, sinful. I'd be a hypocrite if I went to church. Anyway, but like you said, dead is dead, and if it matches a phenomenon, then you got to give it credibility. And it talks about the dead being conscious of nothing in the Bible. Nor do they ponder, nor do they dream, but their state of existence has just ceased until resurrection. So it says that there's nothing there, which like I said, I don't know what it's like to be psychic or have this extra ability. Maybe I would think differently if I did. But but there's the keeping it logical according to the evidence. I've never seen anything that appeared to be, and also a lot of phenomenon turns out to be sinister, even if it starts off not sinister, which is odd. But what you're studying is the science and the complexity, right, of the reality of different dimensions and how this stuff works as a scientific phenomenon, correct? That can be measured. That's you guys do cases, so to speak, right? Or do you?
Yeah, I look more. I'm trying to find a way to scientifically explain what we're experiencing in some way, shape, or form. And I mean, it is a massive challenge. Like that's like almost an impossible battle. But I feel like maybe obviously right now or any time in the near future, we're not going to be able to do that. But I do believe that quantum physics and quantum mechanics will lead us in the right direction.
Right. So I mean, but we can prove something's going on. I mean, anybody with an audio device can go and capture EVPs that are intelligent, that they comment about the environment, about the individual. There's something. I mean, we're past the point of where we're proving something is happening there. There's something scientifically proven, right?
I don't like that word proven, because like that's a really
there's a phenomenon occurring.
Yeah, I mean, there is a mass reporting of phenomena. Yes, I mean, but I mean, it's also like the UFO phenomena. Like, how do you scientifically prove that these are?
Well,
like all we have is either like video evidence, or we have stuff like that. But
I think there's more evidence with that than what they're released and what they're letting us know.
I think there's more evidence.
They understand a lot more than what they.
I think that there's more evidence to show that we are able to communicate with interdimensional or multi-dimensional creatures than there is evidence that a
non-human intelligence, right, is around.
That what would I honestly, I believe that there's more evidence to support communicating with the dead than I do believe that there's evidence to support believing in being a Catholic. In my opinion, I feel like there's more reason to believe in the dead.
So you're more you do have a religious background then, like you.
I mean, yeah, my grandparents are Catholic. My mom's side of the family is Catholic. My dad, I grew up Methodist, but like I really am non-religious. But like
as an individual, you have this, you have an idea of what like remember when you were going to church and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's say that something was around to observe people's relatives before they passed.
Mm-hmm.
They're able to mimic the activity of those relatives and able to put on a facade that this is what you're dealing with. Do you think that's possible?
Well, I think that the past, present, and future are happening all at the same time in some form. So I believe that any knowledge that we have, anything that we may have had happen to us in the past, I believe that they may have access to all that information and can use that against us, and we would have no idea otherwise.
Sure, but you're talking about communicating with the deceased. You were saying like
I think that they can mimic the deceased.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. So I mean, so like you said, you have more evidence of communicating with the deceased than you do not. And,
I have more evidence in communicating with the deceased than I do believing that that Jesus is the like a lot of the things that the Bible really says, and a lot of the things that all religious texts say. Like I have a lot more reason to. There's more evidence of talking to ghosts than there is a lot of what the scriptures says is.
Well, I mean, and I agree with I agree with a lot of that, but the one thing
like Noah's Ark is hard to believe.
Right. Which I mean, accordingly they found it. I mean, I don't know.
I would.
It could be a rock. It could be a rock sitting on the ground. Yeah. It's
well, that Mount the Mount Ararat formation, if that's what you're talking about, the one over there. Yeah, and actually the mountains of Ararat are not Mount Ararat, and that's a big distinction that a lot of people misunderstand. Is that Mount Ararat was not the mountains of Ararat, and it's also like something that a lot of people don't understand too is like Jesus of Bethlehem. Well, Bethlehem was not like people believe like what because they also say he's from another
Nazareth.
Well, there's another place. Jesus, it starts with a G. I can't remember. Like he was supposed to be born there, but like it was really New Bethlehem at the time.
Right.
Okay. So that's like where a lot of the confusion comes. And so I think a lot of that has to do with the various translations and the mistranslations of these ancient texts, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But the Bible, there's certain, and like I said, I've looked at all of this from a very logical point of view. But then it's historically, the Bible is pretty accurate historically. Like I mean, with locations and there was one incident where they thought that the book of Daniel was a fraudulent book because it knew the individual that was writing about the ancient Babylonians knew things about the ancient Babylonians that they didn't reveal their secrets, and they thought it was like way later. And one of the things that in the book of Daniel that it talked about was that Nebuchadnezzar conquered these other nations around him, and he started to set up expansions, like expand off the ancient city of Babylon, and they thought that was grounds to disprove the book. But then they discovered these expansions, and also like something that was claimed in the book of Daniel is that he stamped his name on every brick, which is something that they never seen before, and what was known, his historical records. Well, then they found these expansions where there was a stamp on every brick, and it was very, very accurate. And there's the account of Alexander the Great, which really.
Well, and I know that they've also, they did find King Solomon's temple.
Oh no!
Not the temple, but it's the bathhouse that Jesus supposedly washed that man's feet in.
So yeah, so there are these discoveries where it's pretty accurate in some ways.
Oh yeah, I believe that there's a lot of accurate events for sure.
Right, separate from a supernatural depiction. But it's really it's fascinating stuff because with the translation aspect, which what you talked about, was anything lost? Well, I guess they have software that can decipher, like, okay, the Old Testament was written in Aramaic and the New Testament was written in what was it in oh shoot, what language was that? My brain's well, it was the same Greek, I think Greek.
Yeah,
and they were able to use artificial intelligence to translate the modern translation to the old translation, and it's pretty much spot on. There's very little difference there, which is almost impossible in the sense that never happens.
I do know, like with and I know that ancient Aramaic, like there's a lot of like characters, words, and like things that don't exist in our language.
Yeah, that's why that it's almost impossible for an ancient text to be properly translated,
like perfectly translated. Yeah, and so like that's where a lot of differences do come into play amongst the denominations of Christianity.
Another one was
they called it biblical Hebrew. I looked it up for you.
Right. Well, which would have been
ancient Hebrew,
Aramaic, which was what the spoke. They didn't have vowels, so like things were real different. Almost, you're thinking it'd be almost impossible to translate something with no vowels to a language that has vowels. You think?
Yeah.
Which is a big mystery. I mean, the fact that it's at all accurate is just really odd. Like I said, I break commandments on a daily basis, so I'm not doing the religious thing. But you got
my knowledge goes as far as like ancient aliens and some of that stuff. So like,
just looking at the arguments here, it's like because there are a lot of different aspects in this field, and that's why it's so complicated. It's very complicated to get it, like you said, very hard to prove scientifically what's going on. Are we meant to know? Then it gets back to that. But I think that we've made great strides in explaining that some of this phenomenon. Like I said, I think we can prove that there is some kind of phenomenon going on.
I don't think that we'll ever find the answers, but I think that that's because I know that a lot of people say, oh, we're just not supposed to. Well, I think that is true in a sense, but I think it's because and I think that this is where part of like the Mandela effect comes into play. Whereas, like, I think that some of these code corrections that the simulation is making are because maybe we're getting close to something that we're not supposed to know. And so the source code is correcting itself so that we don't find the answer, so that the timeline is different. And so, like, I feel like it's going to prevent us every time we get close.
Right. Well, I mean, you would think that would happen in a simulation, as far as we know. A simulation to be.
Well, think about all the disasters that happen when we get close to stuff.
Well, I mean, then you have mankind developing technology that is affecting the environment too. All kinds of aspects here. But one of the things that I thought was kind of funny at the same time, but interesting is what would be proof that we are in a simulation is how fast that we develop simulations. So like the technology that has been involved in the video game technology, like advancement. There are people that are smart people that are using that as proof that we're in a simulation. Like it's gone from Pong, which is Atari with the two little, lines and the little blobs that move up and down and bat the other blob, to advanced video games, which are entire rendered worlds. They say that in itself is proof that we're in a simulation. And I've heard that, but it's a ridiculous.
That's a ridiculous.
It's like how fast that the simulation gets a simulation is how we would know. And there's Neil deGrasse Tyson's one that said that, and I think Elon Musk mentioned that too. But I don't see how that's. I mean, I don't understand how that would be proof. Because technology is always advancing at such a fast rate that once we develop something like a computer or video game, it's going to advance.
I think the flaw with that obviously is the idea of free will. The idea of an intelligence with the idea that it can, or at least the illusion of free will, where they can think, oh, I'm going to go and create my own simulation that has artificial intelligence that has a level of free will. And so like, we are not even close to that level. Like I feel like we're not going to get to that level until we're at least a type 1 civilization. And we are not even close. We're like 100 years away at least from being a type 1.
Yeah.
So another question now, do you think that some of this technology that we've developed is from reverse engineering this other inhuman technology?
Yeah.
Okay, you do. So that would be allowed in the simulation, you think? I mean,
I think that they're...
Well, I mean, because it would be based upon our progression, right? Like, I mean, so this is something that might naturally occur, right? Correct? So... I don't
know. But see, I think that there may be... Now, there's a couple of things that I think could be true about this. One of them could be that there was a glitch in the code, and it's almost like a giant hologram theory, right? So, but like something came in to the hologram to fix something, or there was a reason it came into this reality, and it crashed, and we got a hold of it.
Right, and then
I think that's what led to like radar technology, like all these greater technologies. And I mean, there's a lot of reason for us to believe that.
I mean, think about it. In the last 100 years, we've gone from riding horse and buggy, well, give or take 100 years, to flying in space. I mean, more technological advancement than what was in the previous like 5,000 years or something.
Well, like you could even argue that the difference in time between like I mean, from the year 1900, to 1960, what was it, 67 or 69 when we went to the moon? When was that?
I think 67, the 60s, like that, late 60s.
Yeah, or when we said we go into the moon.
How does that happen?
In 60 years, I don't know. When was the invention of electricity? Was the 1890s.
Then again, I got to say,
we go from inventing electricity in the late 1800s to less than 100 years later, we're going to space with rockets.
Okay, well, here's a interesting question that I failed when somebody asked me because I wasn't aware of it. When did we or when do you think the first electric car was invented?
Oh, that was invented before the gasoline combustion engine.
Yeah. Okay. See, I had no idea that it was invented in the late 1800s. No idea. Technology that long ago. Another thing is that during World War I, or was it II? Maybe it was II. AT&T, they had video phones like what we're doing right now.
Yeah, they've had video technology for
I mean, I thought these were newer technologies, but here they've had this around for forever, and it's like, man, where the hell was I? You know?
Oh yeah, they've had like cell phone technology. They've had like things that the technology that they have had. Obviously, most of it was kept hidden because of the war efforts. Like you don't want to give away technology or let loose technology, so you keep it in the house militarily.
Well, yeah, because that's where all of our technology goes first to the military, and then by the time we receive it, it's about how old they think it is, like 40 years old or something.
Yeah, that's usually the estimate is like 30 to 40 years.
So what the hell do they have right now that they're working on? I mean that makes me think, like
anti-gravity technology.
Right.
100%, I believe they do.
So, these drones, and that we've seen all over the news. See, we have those here in Oregon. I have some interesting film of them flying over top of us.
Along the coast. Along coastal cities, for sure. I'm betting.
I mean, what state are you in?
Ohio.
Have you seen anything like that down there?
No,
not personally.
Although Wright-Patterson Air Force Base was shut down for a couple of days because of a drone sighting over the military.
Right. So then these people coming out, that they say they don't know what they are and all this, and
that's a bunch of bullshit.
I think they know what they are for sure.
They know what they are.
They know exactly what the fuck's
going on. They know where they're coming from. Oh yeah, I agree with that. But it's like, but what do you think this is? I mean, do you think that's some of that new technology that you're talking about? These, that some groundbreaking technology.
Um,
These things are weird. I'm telling you. Like I filmed one. I'll send you the video when it flew right over top of us, and it was very odd.
Yeah.
See, I'm never a UFO person until I saw a couple of weird things.
Part of me thinks it's mass conditioning in some way for some things.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that theory. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's evidence that this, like, there's so many reports and documents by the CIA that literally show that they do this. Right. They will condition the masses. They do slowly. It's slow. It's just a little bit trickle at a time until it becomes normal, and then they just keep pushing a little further. Then they'll back off. Go a little further, then back off.
Yeah, until we're sensitized to it. Yeah.
Yeah, we become desensitized to it, and so it makes me wonder. At some point, is there going to be a reason that everybody in the states over every major city is going to be seeing these drones?
They're not doing it for no reason. Okay,
I think there's a reason behind it, and I think they're playing dumb. But if they genuinely don't know what they are, that actually makes me even more scared, because then that makes me
exactly.
Like, we don't have a control over this? What?
Yeah, either way, it's something to be concerned about, because they're, like you said, they're desensitizing us for a reason.
Yeah.
Although I do think that there are some of them. That I don't believe are actually drones, but I think that they are. I think that they're like multi-dimensional or multi-reality type craft. But and I do believe that there are some of those kind of popping in and taking advantage of the crowdedness in the skies, I guess.
What I'm send you, Gwen, is that some of these drones flying over top, and then something else flies over top of us, and I feel stupid and crazy even saying this. Okay, it was something that was humongous, huge, like, I mean, miles across.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it went over top of us, and it blacked out the entire sky, and had and it was enormous. I mean, I can't even scale how big it was.
Like Phoenix Lights type big?
It was some huge.
I mean, Phoenix Lights, the Phenix Lights one was like 2.5 miles wide. It was insane.
Yeah, I mean, it went as far as I could see into the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
And then it tilted up in the air like this, and then it went up and then disappeared. And we got it on film, and it was massive. It was huge.
That's insane.
Is that the video that you sent me?
No. That thing's.
I didn't think so.
That thing was microscopic compared to this, whatever this thing was.
Wow.
Okay. Well, see, now I live in South Carolina, so totally different here. But
like maybe a couple football fields big, flew over top of it. This
thing
was so big that I have no idea. I mean, I don't even know what to think about it, to be honest. It was so crazy.
I think that I think that whatever it is, now outside of the drones, I'm not even talking about the drones. I'm talking about these other things, but I think that they are just observing.
Whatever
they've been slowly observing, but like you could go back to even ancient Sumerian texts, right? And talk about the Anunnaki eventually coming back to
Earth,
like it's something like to collect, like to something with their creation. I can't remember.
Well, the Pentagon made a statement, and people, I like how shit makes the news for a minute. Pardon my French, and then like nobody talks about it after that. It's like I mean, the whole thing that really is weird about this is Roswell. Remember all the phenomenon of Roswell? People trying to prove it happened and all this. Well, the government has come out and said there are, inhuman intelligence flying machines around here, and pretty much anybody can sit out here in their front yard with a lawn chair and see them. And nobody cares.
No.
Why is that? Why?
Because we've all know it's common knowledge at this point that they are out there.
But people looking for proof. It's like, well, and I know the government's, shady, and they lie to us. But here, you can, despite what they say, you can go out here and you can record phenomena in your front yard that.
It's because it's so commonplace at this point. Like it's almost like it's almost like when the government announced Area 51 exists. It's like, we know. Thanks for letting us know.
But the people that used to believe in it, we were crazy. Yeah.
There's people seeking for evidence.
But see, even those people now, though, even those people know that UFOs are flying over our skies, and we don't have an explanation for them.
I mean, how can you be skeptical? It's like
so that's why even now, when the government finally admitted we don't know what some of these things are. I mean, it's no surprise. Like people already know. They see them flying in the skies all the time. It's like,
yeah, exactly. So
now, Austin, you said you haven't seen anything like that, the drones personally.
I haven't personally seen the drones. No, I've seen videos people have posted, but
right. Well, think about it. Think about it. I mean, he lives in Oregon. You live in Ohio, and I live in South Carolina.
Coastal states.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, well, they were talking about like, I mean, they just admitted that Oregon's a hot spot recently. But
yes, it is.
I don't know what these things are. I mean, for sure, but I mean, they're very odd. I haven't seen anything like them. And these things have this weird thing that they do. They try to mimic other aircraft that we're familiar with. Insane, like a duck decoy. Like the noise this thing made, it had made no noise when it flew over us, and then when it got over us, it made this noise, and it was like how you picture like an old crop duster plane or something.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this thing, and it's about the size of like a like van or like an SUV. And I'm looking at it like, you know what? It's just completely generic. It's like if something was starting to like mimic something we're familiar seeing.
There was something that I saw. There was an ex military officer that was like really high up in the rankings. He did an interview. I want to say on Fox or on CNN or something. I was just watching a clip of it, and I mean, but he was bringing up a good point that we get all of our drone technology from China.
Right, exactly.
Every bit of it. So, do you think that we're getting the best stuff from China? We're not getting the best stuff from China.
Right.
So it makes me wonder what, like that kind of even also kind of gives me reason to believe that there may be something going on that we don't know about, because China, Russia, North Korea, they've all been kind of colluding together lately. I mean, they're not
even attempting to shoot these things down, which you think they would.
That's where my concern is.
Yeah, and it's like, and with them saying that they're either ours, okay. That's one explanation. The other explanation is that these things are about 500 years above us in technology. That's what they were saying.
Well, there are reports that a lot, like I've heard reports from military pilots that say like they can't even keep up with them. Like they try to encounter them or they try to intercept them, and they just go out of. They can't even keep up with them. They just disappear.
Either one ain't good, really. Because if it's our government, then what are they doing? You know, they're not doing this for no reason. You know.
Well, another theory is that there was some lost radioactive material or something.
Yeah, I've heard that one too, which is a real. I mean, it's possible. I'm sure.
Jennifer just sent me a video. You want me to try to?
Oh,
see
if you
I
want
can
to,
grab it.
go right ahead. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, go right ahead.
Jennifer's his. I can't remember. Are y'all married? But
no, we're not
anyway,
married.
it's his person. There you go. Let me try. Go ahead and talk. I'm gonna try to do this.
Oh no, it's probably the film from the other day when I was filming the drone flying over top, because I got a really good shot of it, and it's like, man, I mean, it has the lights on it, you know, like the red and blue lights, but it's just ridiculous. I mean, you don't have to watch it to see it.
Yeah, and so that's why, like, I feel like China, like, they have technology that's way greater than ours when it comes to drone technology.
It's another term that they were using for propulsion. I can't remember what they said, but it's in terms of anti-gravity. It's a similar thing, and what they were saying, if another country had this technology, we're done basically if they decided to. So. You never know,
we can't. We are very in. We are in. We are. What is the word? Insufficiently prepared for a drone attack from another country. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the drone technology, we're about 10 years behind. They said. Well, so that's what they say. I mean, if these are somebody else's, we're more than that.
Well, what's even worse though is that, like, you know, Israel has the Iron Dome. We don't even have that.
Yeah, they're rushing for that one too. Like you know, running around trying to get that one.
Like we don't even have something like that. Like we don't have a defense system.
We've been
against intercontinental missiles. Like we don't have anything.
Other people's. We've been giving our advanced technology to Ukraine and to, you know, the Israel, and it's like.
Well, I mean, I guess that there probably is some form of anti-missile defense system. I would assume that there is.
I think we have the best technology, or one of the best at our.
Well,
we developed stuff really fast. Like they were.
Well, we outspend every other country combined on military and military spending. Yeah, I mean,
it's insane. It's insane.
But our debt continues to rise. So
and then again, it's like, and if we were so defenseless, would we be pushing for a worldwide nuclear war? I mean, think about that one.
I don't know if we're even doing that. But I will also say, though, that, the nuclear war threat is not the same as it was during the Cold War.
I agree. Yeah. But I mean, we're using...
You don't... Well, what we're saying, though, is that, like, we don't... The idea of, like, a nuclear... Or, like, a radioactive fallout, like, that is not really a thing anymore.
More likely other scenarios, yeah. Like, I live in the Pacific Northwest, and... it's all volcanoes, not too far from Mount St.
Well, I mean, like radioactive fallout, like we wouldn't even have to worry if we had a nuclear bomb dropped on us. Like that's not how it works anymore.
Really?
Like we're not using uranium and plutonium in these things. Like we're using like hydrogen. Like a hydrogen bomb is not going to leave radioactivity like it did in Hiroshima.
And they've experimented with anti-gravity or antimatter technology too.
I got the video if you guys want to see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll probably hear me cussing up a storm, like what the...
Yeah.
So
look at it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right, let's see if we can get it going. All right, here we go.
Okay. Oh shit. All right. There's something in the sky right here, dude. It was fucking big. Whatever. It looks like a drone, a huge drone. Oh yeah, dude. What is this? What is this, dude? Oh, what, dude? Look at this thing. Look at this thing. Look at this thing right here, dude. Come here.
Holy shit! There's another one dropped all the way down on the ground right behind you.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they're coming in now, dude.
Oh, dude. Look at this thing. Okay, big drone. Big.
The third one we see land.
Dude, that's fast, dude. I mean, that's fucking big. Look at that thing.
Now they pretend to sound...
Jabba Chopper, yeah. What is that? Dude, that's not a plane.
It's not a plane. Have you ever seen a plane fly with a...
Dude, it was so... Dude, here comes another thing coming in. Right over here. See it?
Oh yeah, here comes another one. He's right behind them.
Dude, that thing... Yeah, that thing didn't even make any noise, dude. When it flew over top of us. Not a fucking noise, dude. Not one noise. Okay, so he's coming. Okay, we'll film him when he comes by. Like, oh, what the hell, dude?
Yeah, I mean, that thing was that?
That's wild.
Well, I mean, it was low, and the thing wasn't a plane, but yet it started making this noise. It sounded like a...
Yeah, it had a searchlight on it, too, it looked like.
Yeah. It had like a light that was like emanating out of the front of it, and weird. But that's not the weirdest part of the evening, though. When the big thing,
Yeah, that would be way more.
but that matches what, if you search out the New Jersey footage, it looks just like it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I mean, the thing, it kind of resembles a plane, but if you were there and saw it, it's so low, it wasn't nearly the size of a plane.
Oh, it looked like a drone. It definitely looked like a drone.
Like a big drone, yeah.
But like, who's flying it and why?
Right, and it's like, when I look at something like that, it's like, why can't they shoot that down? But
I mean, I do understand the whole, like, because that is like in town over residential neighborhoods and stuff. Like, I could see if it's like a big enough drone, like you shoot it down, it lands in somebody's roof. Sure. Lands on a kid in his bed or something. That would be a big problem.
For sure. But it's like, I mean, I didn't even know that we had drones that were the size of a van or SUV. I mean, that's almost big enough to be manned, but yet again, I mean,
dude. Some of these commercial drones are like 7 or 8 feet wingspan.
That makes me think that maybe it is a commercial aircraft, but they don't come up on any commercial like aircraft apps where like they map the flight course or anything like that. Like these things are, and I guess radar doesn't pick them up. I mean,
yeah. Do you have one of those? I know I use Yeah, do you have one of those?
I don't. I should just download one and look.
I like FlightAware. Austin, do you use any of them?
What is it?
The where it shows. It's called Flight Aware,
Everything's in here,
uh-uh.
it tells you.
where you can look up and it shows any of them that are supposed to be like
Oh
flying.
yeah, like registered drones in the sky.
Yeah,
Well,
I
not
mean,
just planes, copter,
it's in the air, I
anything.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anything like
no, I guess I don't really. I wish I paid more
Well,
attention, but I don't to the skies. I
He was
should.
saying he doesn't. He doesn't see any of this shit fly over top of us.
He has some bizarre things come up.
Well,
but
no. I
he's-
mean, this guy's in. That's in the the unexplained. But I mean, these drones. I mean, it's hard for me to think that there's something out of this world. But it's like, there's the fact that there's the activity is so broad. Like it's not even in our country. And
Yeah.
It's like, what are I mean, what's the cause of all this? I mean, what is it leading up to?
That's my question: is what is it?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of alarming because it's like
Mhm.
this ain't the amount of effort it takes to do something like this. They're not doing it for no reason. Whoever's doing it.
Mhm.
So
Oh, that's a big coordinated effort.
yeah. So
Yeah, seems
what's
like it
the
is.
end result? It's just there's so many things that are so many questions here that
But I
Yeah.
also kind of wonder if it's just some kind of distraction,
it could be. It could
like
be
a coordinated distraction, both amongst along the major cities, along the coastlines, as well as the media. Because
But-
now it has been actually that this is something that has been proven is that the media
Oh,
will
absolutely.
repeat
Yeah.
the same things and like
They're definitely
they're very much all the same.
colluding with certain branches of government. Yeah, they've proven all that.
Oh, I think
And,
they're paid for by the shadow
of
government.
course, absolutely, of course. The bottom line is
You guys, I don't know if you're aware, but
What's that?
it's almost an hour and a half, which is fine. But
Yeah,
I don't know what. Yeah,
Seattle.
I'm getting pretty
I
tired.
wasn't-
I'll be honest.
Okay, well, man, hey, thank you so much, Austin, for
Yeah.
the conversation, man. I appreciate it.
For sure.
yes,
I'd like
thank
to,
you.
I'd like
Thank you
to
very
talk
much.
to you again. It'd be amazing.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys having me on, and yeah, that would definitely be a lot of fun. Come back on.
Sure.
Anytime,
we'd love to
any of
have
the
you.
shows you want to come on, you just let me know.
Tell
Oh,
Nick.
for sure.
I knew Nick real well back during their first documentary, The Ghost Adventure
Mhm.
Guys.
Yeah,
And if he even remembers me, which if I was him, I wouldn't remember me either.
he's pretty good though, about remembering people. Man. He has pretty good memory.
Tell him Chad Zumwalt says hi, and that that I follow him and what he's doing.
Okay.
Always have. And Austin, it was great meeting you.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
Feeling good.
You know what you're doing, man. You're doing a good job.
I
Yeah.
appreciate
Austin,
that.
if you want to hang on for 1 second, I have a question about something. It'll take
Okay.
just a. All right,
Yeah.
Chad, take us out of here, man.
Sure. Okay. Well, you're just chasing nightmares, and great conversation with Mr. Maynard, and yeah, we'll talk to you next time. And
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Gwen.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
You too.
All right. Bye.